Hello beautiful people, welcome to Kate Space. I'm Kate from Pixie Designs and I have a journal share for you today. I have finally finished this little purple journal which I've called Violet for want of a better name. Again, it's similar to the one I showed you last time, except it's a little bit bigger because I wanted to use up some of the things that I had prepared for the two journals, and I had a lot, so I actually expanded this one's spine. So it's 6.5 centimeters the spine, and it was quite plain, so I've added this vintage cotton lace to it. It's really plain on the front. I haven't done anything. I love the fabric. I love this rose, and with these purple flowers coming through, and the back again. The fabric's absolutely gorgeous. I've got a little hole here that I've reinforced with a piece of little flower doily, and I've hand stitched this velvet elastic so that it's nice and firm, but again this can be swapped out. If you don't like the elastic there, you could change it for something else. And yeah, it's got a little hitch post. So with the 6.5 centimeter spine, we have 3 signatures, 120 pages. This is a 22 by 14 this way. So again, it's the old antique book covers that I used for the similar to the last one. I'll link the last flip through in case you didn't see that one. It's pretty full of stuff, so it can be emptied out a little bit so that it will lie flatter for journaling in. But anyway, I'm going to show you. It's such a pretty journal with so many beautiful things in it, and I really hope you'll like it. Lots of vintage, antique and repurposed papers in here. The digitals I've used are Amity Bloom, Evermore, some from Ruby and Pearl, and Graphics Fairy. They're the main ones. So front inside cover, this envelope opens up, a pansy from my garden, this little wee card here, and in here we have a index card that I've just stamped, and the little card that matches this envelope. I've popped that in there for journaling on, or putting a photo in, or cutting up, whatever someone would choose, and that just tucks behind that wee ticket there. So this is a tuck spot obviously here, and I've made this collage card with a lovely lace sort of cluster at the top and this little flower, a fussy cut pansy, and it's plain on the back. It's backed onto just some vintage cardstock. There's a wee key, as you can see, hanging down here, and a New Zealand stamp. So again, I've used the handkerchief like I did last time, and I forgot to mention in that last video, this was actually my sister's idea, Jo, from a little crumpled suitcase. She has lots of great ideas, and we were chatting and I said, I don't really know what to do with this brown envelope flap, and she said, why don't you try a hanky? So I've got this, I found another little handkerchief when I was out op shopping the other day, so I decided to repeat that. So this is tied like the other one. You can undo it, but I haven't decorated the inside of this envelope here. So tucked in here is a copy of a vintage photo that I have of my grandmother. Her name was Vera. Everyone called her V. That is just a little tag. Obviously there's a little vintage ticket here and a little bag of extras in there that can be used in the journal or elsewhere. I made this little tuck spot, and in here is a wee really beautiful old postcard, lovely embossing with the purple here, Happy New Year to Mary with love from Maggie. It's just a beautiful vintage postcard. Some satin ribbon ruffle. This is a wallpaper, no, this is from Violet by Ruby and Pearl. Some of the vintage German tape, a vintage New Zealand first day cover, or this is a souvenir cover with the Queen. Purple stamp here. So I've tried to keep the purple theme, violet, purples, lilacs. some napkin decoupage and some stenciling and a card from the Evermore kit, plain on the back. I've left this open so there's room to put something, tuck something behind there if wanted to. And here I've tucked a French letter from 1947. This is like a love letter, and I've just added, as you can see, a little hydrangea flower from my garden that I pressed. Some velvet ribbon ruffle there. Lots of room for writing, drawing, changing it up to how you would want it to be, as is always the case with my journals. I like to think of them being used and created in. This is a stamp I've added to this Graphics Fairy digital. It's a vintage French stamp, and that's a postcard that I've made with the glitter on it. Can you see that? I had that one in the last one too. I just loved it so much I made another one. This little faux stamp, I think that's 49 in market, so it turns like this. Beautiful digital. A piece of New Zealand ephemera in here, just on some lovely paper. 1940, a letter about an overdraft from a bank. Some lovely wallpaper border making that pocket. Something from the Frampton Flora book, a picture. Some old ledger, reinforced with some washi tape. Some brown paper with some texture paste on it. Love the contrast of the texture paste on the brown packing paper. And an old sort of invoice here from, I don't know when, 1947. For those of you in New Zealand, do you remember Para rubber? I do. Okay, and here's the first centre spread with some ruffle here made out of paper that wrapped vintage ribbon. There's a piece of ephemera here from 1913. A card that I've backed with some really old book page. This is something that I saw Evelyn from Danielle from Evelyn and Sage do. She made some beautiful journals which had these pictures on them from the Graphics Fairy, and she turned them into cabinet cards. So this backing here is actually a cabinet card that I own, that I've made copies of, but I just love that mauvey pink colour, and then I put the picture on. I just love that. That has to be one of my favourite things I've made. That image is just so gorgeous. So that is from the Graphics Fairy website, and a fussy cut sort of magnolia flower that I've put there. This opens up and there's some more napkin decoupage there, and that brown paper that wraps around. And that opens out, this opens out, so there's some lovely embossing here, so you could put a picture, an image, a photo, you could just write something in there. And then this is just the other side of that book page. And then I've embossed this is a little tuck spot, obviously, with a vintage greeting card in here. It doesn't really have anything written there. The greeting is at the back, to Isabel from Phyllis. Printed in Great Britain. And again, you can see the glue on the back where I've removed it from the old scrapbook that it came in. Another tuck spot up underneath this wallpaper. And this is some French embroidery, I don't know what you'd call it. You know, one of those big French embroidery newspaper things from the 50s. It's quite fragile, so I've glued it onto this page. And then I've made this tuck spot here with the other side of the page, so we've got some antique music, a digital from the Graphics Fairy and from the Evermore kit, and there's some embossed paper, handmade paper. I think that might be from Lily. I think Lily might have maybe made that. I'm not sure, can't remember, but it's really pretty and it suits the colour scheme. And here's another one of those little flippy, those little sort of, I don't know what you call them, extra papers on the tab. And on the tab, I've just got a little charm and a vintage glass chandelier crystal. And I've put some very old glassine over the vintage fairy picture. Some embossed pianola, some of this paper. I don't know where this came from. I found it in my stash, but it's this lovely, feels beautiful, handmade sort of paper. And there we go. All right, so that's kind of cool. And you just can tear them off. They're sewn onto here. Or you could actually undo the stitching and they would come away. And that's the other side. And I've done a little resin stamp. I need to get a move on. And here is a lovely image from the Evermore kit, I'm pretty sure. And I've just put a rub on down here, and this is some really old card from one of those albums. You can see the tape that stuck the photos. I just love that paper. And this is some really old wallpaper they've got that's really beautifully embossed. It's one of my favorite wallpapers. Some copy dyed paper that I made, and some more of the digitals, fussy cut rose on there, little tuck spot here. This opens out for secret things. It's a little hidey hole. So yeah, it opens out, and just a little bit of collaging here. This is from a very old 1800s book, and some vintage note paper which I've connected together with a rusty staple. And yeah, that will leave a mark. That's the point of the rusty things, is to leave that mark and make them look more genuine. And on the side of this is the other side of the envelope. I've created these tuck spots. There's a little wax seal, and there's the little date from that little piece of book page, 1899, and a tag from the kit. So there's two tuck spots here. Okay, one of my lace messy things, and there's a little bit of bling sewn on there. It's beautiful front piece of a music score. A lovely vintage book page. Love these. I haven't got many of those left, but they're just such vivid pictures. Some of the 1800s ledger, that 1896, and that was in the other one as well. Lovely tuck spot here with some embossing, and a little flower fairy image from the vintage flower fairy book that I have tucked in there. Some beautiful wallpaper, and another piece of New Zealand ephemera. This one is from 1889, so this is a receipt, but of course I had to include it because of this lovely mauvey colour on here, and then underneath is a letter that goes with it, with this lovely writing. So yeah, very rare piece of very old ephemera from New Zealand. So yeah, I had to put that in there, even though they're very hard to part with. A fussy cut on this music manuscript paper, another tuck spot here that's been embossed. This is also a tuck spot, or could be glued down on this dyed paper. This is from the kit, and this opens right out. This is a very old one of those Victorian scraps, and yeah, that's an original, and that opens right out. So I love that mauvey coloured ledger. Some more texture paste on this. I think this is some tea dyed purple paper. Lovely wallpaper here, digital, and a decorated paper clip. It says noted on there, and that is a hand dyed flower. And another piece of New Zealand ephemera from 1947, but again I've added the purple stamp on here. But yeah, so just a cool little piece of ephemera for you to look at or use or write on. This is another piece of New Zealand ephemera. So this is the bottom of quite a large piece. This is obviously some book page. This is an original photo that I've popped into a sample frame, and also you can tuck something behind there. And oh, I forgot, there's a pocket. So there's a big full page pocket here if you would like to fill that with something. Another centre spread here. We've got the lovely glass beads on these strings and a little Rolodex card. And this is a love letter from Fraser to Ruth. It's quite a beautiful, passionate letter. It's actually probably a portion of a letter. There's no date on it. It says Wednesday afternoon. All the letters I have from Fraser to Ruth are from the mid to late 1920s when he was in China, writing back to her. And a flashcard, maths flashcard, and a tag from the kit and a ticket. Just added that because the colour was suited, and this beautiful, one of my favourite embossing folders of the roses down here. In here we have one of those scrap paper pads, and I've done some hand embroidery, and then I've mimicked that on the belly band here. So we've got some 1905 ledger, and some old rag paper French with a little hydrangea. Anyway, yeah, variety of mainly vintage papers in that actually. And that slides up in there, but I did need the bulldog clip. That's held together with really old brass brads too. They're vintage as well. But yeah, I needed the bulldog, so a rusty bulldog clip. So this is the piece of ephemera I was talking about. It's quite a large piece. I'm not 1912. And again, I added the vintage stamp. And on this side, I've got a fussy cut. So that's the same one that's on here. I just loved it. It's from the Graphics Fairy. And I've added that, and I've added a little bit of glitter. Oh, we're off camera. I've added a little bit of glitter there to that. Lovely sari silk ribbon ruffle. Another piece of ephemera here from 1912. Again, this is New Zealand. Dunedin, 23rd of January 1912. So yeah, another beautiful piece of New Zealand ephemera. The wallpaper opens out. It's just a beautiful, beautiful wallpaper. Another postcard. This has more writing on it, but again, it's addressed to someone in New Zealand. And yeah, it's got a note on the back. But I love the pansies, and I thought it suited this. Again, another hard piece to part with. This opens out, or you could just glue this down, and I've done some texture paste here. Again, this is fragile. It has a little tear at the top. This is a stamp that I have resined, and some more of that book page. And then this beautiful music paper. I've strengthened it with this paper tape here and some washi here just to help it along. But it's very beautiful. From the Evermore kit, a big pocket, big lace pocket here. I may pop something in that one, though I just try not to overstuff this journal. Another beautiful digital here, and something you could put a photo or write in this. A piece of music, the Lavender Room, I thought that suited, and of course there's a little tuck spot there if you wanted to use it as such. Lovely little lace and sari silk ribbon ruffle. Some of the scrapbooking paper, and some more napkin decoupage. I had to put this little knitted pansy flower in. I couldn't find a place for it in the other journal, but oh my gosh, look how sweet it is. So it's just held on with one of those vintage brass brads, and you can just take it off, but it's just super cute. There we go, and there's a tuck spot there. So that's that. This is a lovely, quite strong ledger, and I've done a embossing frame on there. I'm trying to look for a date, but can't see. Oh, 1906, there you go. Pretty old. Lovely little ruffle with another of the hand-dyed flowers. I dyed those with watercolours. And that paper is a repurposed postage stamp album paper. Another beautiful book page. I love this one. This young girl in the forest. She's obviously been collecting, I don't know, violets, pansies, something in her basket. Very contemplative she is. In this centre spread, I've put another piece of New Zealand antique ephemera, 1912. Again, we have this purple stamp and the purple ink there, which just really I thought was great. And you can do whatever you want to that on the back. And on this side, an old envelope, Portland, Oregon, but again, because of the colours, I've included that. And another piece of ephemera from Wellington, the Wellington Meat Export Company. This is from 1919, so again, this is an antique piece, and it's just really cool. Again, the purple script on there, ink on there, so it had to come along into this journal, and it tucks in here. Oop. Actually, I don't want to cover up my bird. There he is, lovely bird. Again, more beads, glass beads, faceted ones, and this is the book page, and I haven't tucked anything in there, but you could either glue that down or tuck it in, but there's a lovely couple of blank pages for someone to work in here. All right, and again, I've left that to be either glued down or turned into a tuck spot or torn off, whatever someone would want to do with it. And this is the other half of that lovely heavy old ledger. This opens right out, and we've got this lovely frame, and this is the other one of those cards I made. So this back is a copy of a cabinet card that I own, and then this image is from the Graphics Fairy, and then I've added these lovely gold vintage photo corners, and oh my gosh, I love that so much. It's so pretty. And then you can see the lovely writing through the frame here, so you can stick anything you want in here, but I thought she looked fabulous in there. More music and more texture paste. A little image that I've done some French knots on here, on the flowers, just in some purple embroidery thread. I love how that turned out. This is just a little note paper, and I put some washi stickers on that. There's nothing vintage about that, but the colour certainly looked fabulous, I thought, in there. And then on the back page, I've tucked a little bundle of things into this lovely lace pocket. Now, this is some very old quilt that I've stitched on, and you may or may not be able to see that. The little flowers on here are like little hearts, so I've just done little stitches on all the little flowers, and yeah, I just love how that looks. I was going to use it as a tab. I just couldn't find a place for it, and then I was talking to Jo, and I said, what do you think if I just put it on this lace pocket? And she thought it looked cool, and I love it, so that's where it is. And then there's this little surprisey bundle of things, some vintage, this is like a wrapping paper. I actually got that in a bundle from France. Some reckoner, an old envelope front, an old library catalogue card. This here is a cool printable from the Graphics Fairy that I've actually printed on antique book page, and an antique book page from the set of books that I use the covers, and some more pianola roll, and a little tag from the kit. So yeah, that's a little bundle there to be used. And that's the last page. I've done nothing on the back. It's very plain. I was going to put another pocket, but honestly, there's so many pockets in this journal. It doesn't really need anything else, I don't think. I think she's just lovely the way it is. And this journal is for sale, and it will be up in my Etsy shop when this video goes live. And really, really happy with it. Hope you like it. Let me know what's your favourite part is down below. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you're all well. Hope you're all happy. And I will see you again soon in the next video. Bye, guys.